We're going to begin our study of geometry by looking at triangles. Triangles have a lot of patterns and relationships within them that make them a lot of fun to work with. Now, when we have a triangle, we name it by their angles. So this triangle that we show in this picture would be called triangle ABC. But when we talk about a specific angle, we can name those in a couple of ways. So when we think about this angle here, as this we could call angle A. However, sometimes angles are named by all of the letters around it. But there's one specific thing. The vertex, the point of the angle, where this A is, always has to be in the middle. So this angle, it could be angle A, or it could be angle BAC, or angle CAB. Either one would be correct because the A is in the middle. So when we think about angle B, this one here, it could be called angle ABC or angle CBA. As long as the B is in the middle, you're fine. Angle C, which is this one here, we could name as angle ACB or BCA. As long as that C is in the middle, it doesn't matter where the A and the B are. The sum of the three angles in a triangle is always 180 degrees. For an explanation of why, please see the video called The Adventures of Mr. Triangle. Using the information about the triangle, we can set up an equation to determine a missing angle. So if they have the measurements of two angles in a triangle, we can use an equation to find what the third would be. Now, we also have a relationship between the sides and angles of a triangle, but these will always have to do with the side and the angle that are opposite of each other in the triangle. I'm going to show you what I mean. So here we have triangle ABC, and this would be side AB. A relationship exists between side AB and the angle that is across from it. Across from side AB, we have angle C. So there's these two angles and sides, they have a corresponding relationship. Side BC is corresponding to angle A. And side CA corresponds to angle B because it is across the triangle. The relationship that exists with them has to do with sides. The smallest angle will always be opposite the shortest side. So look at side BC, which is in green. That's going to be our shortest side. So since that's our shortest side, then that means that the smallest angle in our triangle is angle A. The largest angle will be opposite of the longest side. So in this case, side AC is the longest, so that means that angle B is the largest. Sometimes a side is congruent to another side because they have the same length. And if you have two sides in a triangle that have the same length, that means you also have two angles that have the same side measure. So those sides are congruent to each other, and those angles are congruent to each other. Now we can also, like I said, set up equations to find the missing angle. It's important that you know how to set up the equations. That is required as a sixth grader, that you are able to set up and solve the equations to find a missing angle. So in this case, they give us two angles. They give us 32 degrees and 81 degrees. So we would say that 32 plus 81 plus that angle B. Altogether, those three need to total 180. So then what I can do is I would add these together. 32 and 81 added together is going to give me 113. That added to B has to total 180 because every triangle is 180. Then I would subtract 113 from both sides of my equation. And I'm left with the fact that angle B is 47 degrees. I want you to do the same thing with question 2. Pause the video, work it out. All right, so when you solve this, you should have gotten 45 degrees as your answer. Come back here to question number 1. Did you find my mistake? I hope so. So when we subtract this, we should not have 47 as our answer. It should actually be 67. Okay, I subtracted wrong. Wow, look at that. Even teachers make mistakes. Let's look at question number 4. We're going to draw triangle JHL. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what type of triangle it is. Okay, doesn't matter. We're just sketching a triangle. Angle HLJ, which would be this one, is going to measure 65 degrees. And LJH is going to measure 50 degrees. We need to figure out what angle H is. So we would set this up the same way. 65 plus 50 plus H equals 180. Add these together and we get 115 plus H is 180. And then we would have to subtract 115 from both sides. You should end up with 65 degrees as your answer. All right, so now let's talk about those corresponding sides some more. We're going to look at these triangles. We're not going to do any math. We are going to use what we know about side and angle relationships to make sure, so that we can figure out shortest sides and smallest angles, etc. We're first going to talk about MNO. So that's this triangle right here. We need to find out which side corresponds to angle MNO. Well, that would be this angle right here. So the side that is across from it is side MO, which is also OM. Doesn't matter the order that you write those letters in, it's going to be the same. MO, OM are the same side. So then let's look at angle TUS, which is right here. Which side corresponds? It's the one that is directly across the triangle, so it's ST or TS. Which side corresponds to VXW? That's this one right here. So we're looking at this triangle, so VXW. The side that is across from it is VW or WV. So now let's look at triangle PQR. That's this one right here. We have to figure out which angle is going to be the smallest. So what I want you to do is I want you to find the shortest side. Where's the shortest side? Well, that would be RQ. So if RQ is the shortest side, that means that the angle across from it has to be the smallest. That would be angle P. Look at MNO. That's this one right here. We need the largest angle. Well, find the longest side. That longest side is right here. So then that means that the greatest angle is going to be across from side MN. So that's going to be angle O. And if you look at that angle, what type of angle is that? That would be a right angle. We know it's a right angle because it has that little square inside. One more thing that we need to talk about is the triangle inequality theorem. In order for a triangle to be formed, the sum of any two sides must be greater than the length of the third side. So technically, the way that you're supposed to check this is you're supposed to add together all of the sides of the triangle in varying combinations. For example, if you have a side that is 4 inches, a side that is 7 inches, and a side that is 9 inches, you would have to add 4 and 7 together, which gives you 11, and then ask yourself, is 11 greater than 9, which is the third side? And you would say yes. Then you would have to check 7 plus 9, which gives us 16, and ask yourself, is 16 greater than 4? Yes. Then you would have to check 9 plus 4, which gives us 13, and ask yourself, is 13 greater than 7, which is the third side, and say yes, and then you would know that this is able to make a triangle. However, what I expect for you to do is simply to add the two shortest sides. If you add the two shortest sides together and it's greater than the third, then you know that you're going to have a triangle. It has to be greater. It cannot be equal. It has to be greater. So now let's think about this. The greatest that side C could be, if we have one side is 7 and one side is 9, we've got to figure out the greatest that the third side could be. Well, remember, when you add those two together, so if we add 9 plus 7 together, that has to be greater than the third side. Well, we're going to use whole numbers. So the whole number that would be less than 16 would be 15. So the greatest that side C could be would be 15. Now for the shortest that it could be, well, so that means that it's going to be smaller than these. So we're going to say we have 9 here. So we have to be able to add 7 to something, and it has to be greater than 9. Well, what would we add 7 to be more than 9? Well, that's going to be 3. So the shortest it could be would be 3. All right, I want you to pause the video here. I want you to answer these 4 questions and then come back and check your work. All right, check your work. If you missed any of these, fix them so that way you have accurate work in your notes.